Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dry Pink Dialogue. We're about 60 seconds away since Inter Miami ended their opening match of the 2025 season. Inter Miami takes a very frigid, very frozen 1-0 victory at Sporting Kansas City. Saur, thank you for joining me tonight. This is welcome to 2025, my friend. It is a victory on opening night. Inter Miami gets a huge win that they needed. I think this is perfect result for the conditions for the tournament style. I think this is exactly what they needed. So, first off, how you feeling? It looked cold. I got cold watching it, but here we are celebrating a 1-0 victory, and it feels certainly much warmer to be an Inter Miami fan than a Sporting Kansas City fan right now.
Yeah, say it a few more times. It was bloody freezing. But you know what they did? They took it easy, but they played hard. They listened to me, and we got the result. Not a pretty watch. I thought there was some really interesting things happening on the pitch in terms of how Inter Miami was set up, what we were trying to do. Didn't always come off. And I want to largely place that blame on the weather. It wasn't the best conditions to play under. But we keep forgetting that Lionel Messi has so much fire in him that he doesn't care whether it's -20 or whether it's -50. He will show up. He looked so good tonight. And that goal was, I don't know how he pulled that off. It was, I would love to see the XG in that because it was not an easy angle to score on. And thank God we scored that, because a 0-0 scoreline would have been much worse to talk about than a 1-0 scoreline, which basically really puts us in a good position for the next leg. Really puts us in a good position.
Just to hang on that moment, and really Messi's whole performance. I mean, Messi was great tonight. But that moment was just like next level highlight reel, to just not even just the shot. The shot was really nice.
The setup for that goal was really nice from him alone. Like he took the ball
for
on
him
his
to
chest,
take it down,
run it down,
to pull it in front of the defender before the defender has time to really react to it, get the yard of space he needs, and then to hit far post and keep it inside the post. Just a beautiful goal. Incredible moment from Messi. I mean, like they say your DPs have to hit for you to be successful in the MLS, and you have your DPs have to play really well. And once your DPs don't play well, whether it was a bad signing or they get too old or whatever, like you really struggle. There's DPs don't do that. Like that was a game-winning moment from the best player.
No.
But other DPs don't do that, and that's what makes Inter Miami so good, so dangerous. Well, that's not the only reason.
I don't think anybody else on the pitch could have done that except Messi.
In the world.
It was brilliant.
I mean, who does that?
I mean, in those conditions as well, to have that composure, to just make that turn. And when he went towards the side, I was like, okay, the moment's gone. I don't think he's going to be able to score. He's probably going to cut it back in. And when he took that shot, it took forever for it to go in. It felt like 3-4 seconds before that ball creeped into the back of the net. But that angle was so acute, and the way he found that perfectly with his foot was brilliant. And honestly, what a way to start the season, just to remind us that this team is still Messi's team. And when I don't think we were in trouble at any point during that game as such. Like we felt maybe a little bit under the cosh towards the end of the game, but that was natural given that it was an away game. We were tired in that cold. But I don't want to say he pulled us out of the depths of hell, because he didn't really, and it was frigid cold. But he did make the difference in this game, and that's what this Inter Miami team has that I don't think any other MLS team has.
Not just MLS team. I mean, a handful of teams in the world. I know earlier today Mbappe had like a 3-goal performance in the Champions League against Man City. But like the special players on planet Earth can sort of take a game like this, and the weather conditions adding to it, just all of it is unbelievable, man. And I think you started that with a really good point, that it's a great reminder. This is Messi's team, and we like to talk because we're so nitty gritty, and we like to get into every little nook and cranny. We love talking about the young players and how the wingers are going to fit in certain ways, or who's the best right back or whatever. But it's about Messi at the end of the day. And
I will say though, despite Messi's performance, and I don't think a lot of people will appreciate it, I thought the team put in a really good performance overall. in the grand scheme of things, there were some really good things happening on the pitch. And I just want to appreciate them actually going out and putting on a tough performance. It was really bad conditions. I know we talked about it and that they should go out and perform and be the, hard, professional, get the job.
I think you were saying those things.
I was sitting on my couch in the comfort of my home, absolutely freezing to death watching them play. So I can't even imagine what it must be like out there. I don't want to overanalyze anything that happened in this game, especially we spoke about it during the pre-game show that it doesn't really matter how the game goes as such because the conditions are going to be so harsh. But I want to appreciate the players for what they put out today. I thought it was a really solid performance. May not have been beautiful to watch, but it was very solid.
No, and I think the effort and the toughness was there. And so you mentioned the professionalism, and you said it in the pregame show. Like, I kept coming back to the cold because it is not cold. It is freezing.
And I think now I can take a step back and say that we can make that excuse now that we won. But at that time, I didn't want to make that as an excuse,
But the players did respond to it. Like those things you were asking for, the toughness, the physicality, the never quit, the mental toughness. They did respond. I totally agree. Okay, I do want to stop for a second. We're 6.5 minutes in. I want to give a chance for more people to get into this. If you've been watching us this preseason, just know after every game of the regular season, the day after, we're going to do a full breakdown. We're going to rewatch the game and do much more deeper analysis and just sort of like get better eyes that aren't worried about winning the game, because we are fans the first time we watch it. The second time, I think we get better eyes. And so we'll talk about player performances and tactics, and we'll give out awards tomorrow. We'll go live and do another hour and a half tomorrow. But tonight, it's mostly about raw emotion, excitement, and mostly about you guys in the chat. So I want to just get to the chat, and that'll, I think, bring us to a lot of our own emotions. But I think that's the best place to start. SD says, the GOAT made it happen. Vamos, Miami. Maybe we should have started with the chat, because I think that's the exact feeling that we just went through. Miami King says, the GOAT, Thomas, let's go. Carlos C with a great comment. Turns out he can do it on a cold night in KC. You made a joke last year, or in an award, about a cold night in, I don't know, Sunderland or Stoke or something. And I did not understand the joke. But now that you've told me that, I think this is way better. You should be using Kansas City from now on.
You know what? It's worse when it's the rain, because it's just pouring and it's on your face and
it's cold. That cold is worse than the rain in Sunderland when it's
the rain in Stoke is worse than the cold in Kansas City. But we've done it in both places. Maybe not in Stoke City, but yeah, we've done it. Some of us have done it in both places.
Janet says, Messi, Miami, the GOAT, heart. Messi with ice in his veins. Svaterix, great win to kick off the season. Let's talk about how this sort of builds us into next week and this weekend. We play NYCFC on Saturday night, and that game feels so low stakes, but Tuesday's game also doesn't feel as daunting as it could have if this scoreline was opposite, right? If we had lost this game 1-0, Tuesday would have been the biggest game of the early part of the season. And instead, now it's still hugely important. It's still a must win, but you have a little breathing room. You don't feel like you have to come hair on fire from minute one. And I think that does affect in some ways how you play Saturday. So to get this win to kick off the season, it's great for our CONCACAF Champions Cup run. It is great for the first part of our season. Just incredible result, especially considering the weather. I will also add, they said it on the broadcast, but the home teams have done exceptionally well. I think there's been 8 wins and 2 draws out of 11 home games prior to this game concluding. And Inter Miami, one of 2 teams to get a road victory in that first leg. So huge result. And I don't think that should go understated, especially considering it's the first game of the season. It's easy to not worry about results yet, but this one is a big one.
I don't even know what to think about the New York game on Saturday. Do we even talk about it? It doesn't really matter. We're either going to end up drawing with them or we're going to lose. Nothing else ever happens. No matter who we have, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, no matter what analysis we put out there, we put Messi on the pitch as well. Against New York, we never get a result. So let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the start of the season. We started off on a great note. CONCACAF Champions Cup finished poorly last season. Glad that we put our performance out there to be able to get a good result today. I know it's just 1-0, and you said it's going to be a 4-0 win. I wish it was that scoreline, but honestly, taking this 1-0 win back to Fort Lauderdale and Chase Stadium and trying to get a result there now makes our life much easier. I think the game on Tuesday is going to be much easier in terms of the mindset and the mentality, because they've just braved harsh conditions to get that result. If we can beat Kansas City at their home ground in those conditions, at Fort Lauderdale, we should be literally blowing them out of the water. So I hope that the next game really shows the effort that's been gone in. And I want to commend Mascherano as well. He prepared the team well. He prepared the team really well.
For those that don't know, regarding New York City FC, we've only beat them one time in the history of Inter Miami. And even last year when we had all this talent, at least they still found a way to get a couple of draws against us when we were much better than them. Janet says that pass from Busi. Can we talk about Busquets for a minute? Because I thought he was obviously Messi is the man of the match and he had the highlight moment, but I thought Busquets was incredibly impressive. So silky smooth. I mean, when guys were struggling with the ball, Suarez, I thought really struggled the first half. Cello struggled. Redondo, like there was guys struggling with the conditions and they were struggling to find the pace of the game and they were struggling to be precise. And that's early part of the season. It's definitely part of being in that sort of environment. Busquets was just phenomenal, silky smooth as always, but
Rolls Royce in that midfield, honestly. I was taking notes during the game, and I wrote down 2 players who had good passing throughout the game. The rest were all like average. 2 players had really good passing. One was Busquets. The other was Aviles, who had some really nice cross balls. And he didn't do that too many times. He didn't do too many of those cross balls, but he had 2 really good balls from one end of the field to the other. And I was like, damn, where did he come up with those from? But yeah, Busquets, don't even need to say anything about him. He just goes about his work as though it's a 9-to-5 job, excels at it, comes out with flying colors, doesn't need to put in too much effort. No point during that game did it feel like the midfield was being overrun too much or we were out of position. I thought Busquets handled the pressure really well, the conditions really well, and kept us sticking, honestly, at times when it felt like Inter Miami was really giving the ball away cheaply or not getting hold of the ball properly. And he just made sure that everyone was like, okay, calm down. We're going to get the ball out when we need to and how we need to. So very solid, smooth, silky performance from him.
I think even in the first half at times there felt like Messi was not able to pull off some of the things he can normally do. And I think most of that came because he was trying to get the ball to Suarez and the Suarez connection wasn't perfect tonight. But there was times in the first half where Busquets felt like the quality on the pitch. And it was really nice to see. Miami Kings has a new personal best for Messi, the goal in the lowest temperature. Put that one in his record books.
A nice record.
Should we get a little negative for a second? Thomas says Redondo was not bad, but Cello needs to be better. I thought in the first half, both Cello and Redondo struggled, and I thought they were both much better in the second half.
I want to give credit to Redondo. I thought he looked good throughout the game. I thought he looked very good throughout the game, much better than he's looked over the preseason. He had some really good tackles and interceptions, a couple of giveaways here and there where I was like, okay, get hold of the ball a bit, compose yourself when distributing the ball. But overall, I thought he was good. Very, very good. Solid all over the place. Didn't look like he was out of steam at any point. Put in some good tackles. Positionally didn't seem out of place at all. And I thought he put in a good, solid 8 performance. Cello was okay. I don't want to blame too much just because it was a tough game to play. But sometimes he got caught, especially in the second half when they brought on players and then Tommy was starting to get on the ball.
It was
a lot
Eric Tommy.
more.
I thought in the first half, Eric Tommy took advantage of him a little bit too.
Yeah.
I think both of them struggled a little bit in the first half. Just my opinion. We'll talk about it again on the rewatch. But also, I think it's really easy to say it was freezing, and I don't want to hold it against them too much.
Can I go on to other players, or do you want to stick to the chat for now?
Sure. Who's on your mind?
Luhan and Aviles. Big props. Big props. Luhan looked a lot better today than he did the last couple of games. I really there was one moment where Noah Allen got caught up the field and Luhan had to run with his player to make sure that he didn't get free. And he stuck with his player. He covered the ground really well. He closed down positions really well. Aviles looked fantastic. There was this one chance where I don't know which SKC forward got free and basically was on the break and had a chance at goal that Ustari saved, but it was because Aviles closed the angle down completely and basically caught up to him and put good pressure on him. I thought Aviles and Luhan together, having not played a single minute before this together, looked very solid. And I liked what I saw from both of them. We talked about how this would be a make or break game for Luhan. If he plays the next game, I'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with that.
I think the thing about Luhan is we started to see who he is as a player. And we saw this with Allende. It took us a couple games for him to really find himself. I thought tonight we started to see that. He was really good in possession. Nothing like spectacular, although he had a really nice moment in the first half. But it was just calm, comfortable, putting the ball where he needs to be, positioning himself where he needs to be. There was a play in the second half where they beat us on a quick transition, and we kind of got saved by an offside call. And Ustari had to make a really nice save because it was Soyoy. Yeah, Soyoy put a nice got past the defense and then put a cross into to Tommy. He was offsides, but I want to go rewatch that game to see where everyone was. But aside from that, I agree with you. I think they both deserve major props. I thought Luhan very impressive compared to last game. Silo says, do you guys at least now see that Ustari's long passes more often than not go to our players? How'd you feel about Ustari tonight?
I thought he was really good. Very solid. Had some really good saves. Came out really well. I thought he commanded his box really well when they were dangerous and crosses. And then he played a bit of sweeper keeper as well. There was a moment where he was almost up to the half line trying to get the ball out. So I thought he was very solid. Very good game. Honestly, probably the best backup goalkeeper that any team has in the MLS at this point in time. He could potentially even compete for the number one spot. I know I may have set off a few fans with that, but that's the reality. I still think Drake Callender is going to come back and take that number one spot. But Ustari for this game, very, very good. Very good. Good passing as well.
He had two saves. One that was really impressive. I mean, it was a foot save, but it was on that call, the ball that got called offsides that I was just talking about. That was, I think, his most impressive save I've seen in Miami. He also had a one-on-one save in a transition opportunity where the ball kind of came right at him, but he did make the save. Calm, comfortable, makes every play. I think that slipped a little bit over the last couple of preseason games. He got it right back today, and I felt really good about it. Yeah. AK SoFlo Sports says, great to see Miami keeping their shape and defense. Bending,
very, very solid.
But not breaking. This is something I feel like has gone under the radar because I think we all felt really good about Javier Mascherano over the course of the preseason, but this was his first game. And beyond that, I was very interested to see how he was going to use his substitutes, especially as we got into the later stages of the game and it became clear that we were going to try and play to keep that 1-0 lead. And, maybe hit on the counter and maybe score a second goal, but really they wanted to make changes to preserve that lead. And what he does is he brings on 3 attacking players, which can be a great way to improve your defense by bringing fresher bodies, making it more difficult for the opposition to, break you down and also get guys that are fresh and willing to come back defensively. How did you feel about the changes Javier Mascherano made and how the team was able to close out this game?
Not just the changes. The biggest contrast from last season is that no point during the game did it felt like a ping pong basketball sort of a game where we got really shattered on the defensive transitions or the shape was out of form or there were holes. I use the word shape because it genuinely feels like Inter Miami is playing in a specific shape and formation now. And everyone seems to understand where they need to be at what point during the game state. So when we have the ball, we know exactly where Segovia is going to be. He's going to be slightly more central. Noah Allen's going to be pushed up, create that width on the left side. Allende is going to be creating that width on the right side. Chelo Egan's going to be supporting as almost a third center back, not pushing up too much. In the middle, you have Redondo and Busquets. Redondo going slightly further up, Busquets staying slightly back. Then that shape changes to a 4-4-2 when we lose the ball and we have to defend. That in itself is starting to take place during the game, and you can actually see how we are adapting to different game states really well. And it almost seems like this team is well drilled. Like, we can see the patterns of play, not just in offense, but in defense as well. Like, you know exactly what you're going to get. And at no point does it feel like we're out of our depth or getting absolutely strung dry or opened out completely in the middle. So that for me goes to the preparation. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right. Those changes I thought could have been made slightly earlier, but then me being nitpicky and just remembering what Tata Martino used to do, I think anything is better than that. Not afraid to bring on Fafa Pico, not afraid to bring on Robert Taylor in the 89th minute, where I would have thought maybe throw on Maxi Falcone for a little bit of defensive cover. Yeah. But yeah, he was very solid with his changes. Brought off Luis Suarez as well, who I thought would go the full 90. Yeah. Some good changes. I think he definitely came out with flying colors in his first test.
Yeah, I am interested to see, because this is one way to approach the end of game situations and trying to close out a game. I am curious what it will look like moving forward when we play, I think, competition with a little bit more of a threat for goal. I didn't think Sporting Kansas City, I said in the pregame, I don't think they're a very good team. I don't think they have a ton of talent. So it doesn't surprise me that Inter Miami was the better team and they were going to really struggle to score goals. I have to just say this, Anton, this is the funniest comment I think we've gotten in weeks.
Also the sweetest. That's so nice.
Yeah, also the sweetest. My daughter just picked up my phone and asked why I'm always listening to those same two guys. That's hilarious. So yeah, A+ for Javier Mascherano's first game. He gets the result in a tough climate. And you know what? What better way to kick off your club managerial career than freezing your butt off and knowing this is as bad as it's going to get.
And it's one thing doing it in preseason, man, but he started off well in the regular season as well. So good for him for being able to do that. He was wearing every single piece of winter wear that he could find from that locker. I could see him absolutely freezing to death on the sidelines.
Here's an interesting one from Paolo. Need a backup striker badly. I did think it was pretty clear that Suarez was struggling in this game. He was just not precise in his passing. Yeah, I think so. For Miami, I think so.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Cold, but it would be interesting. It would be nice to have a backup striker. And so hopefully that Alan Obando deal can come together soon and we can.
Yeah, I texted you after the 35th minute because I was really getting frustrated and I wanted to vent out to somebody. And I said, Suarez can infuriate me sometimes just because it feels like he comes back, gets the ball, and then when he needs to lay it off, he just always seems to be looking for Messi or Jordi Alba. And there were a couple of instances when Segovia took up such good positions. I was like, just pop the ball off to him, please. And he just did not. And I know that comes with the territory of having Suarez on your team, but sometimes it can be really frustrating. And today was one of those games where he didn't necessarily have a great time out there.
I think it's really interesting the way Suarez positions himself around Messi, because when Messi starts, he's starting on the right side, and so Suarez tends to play on the left side and make those runs. But as Messi starts cutting in, Suarez swaps with him because he knows either Messi's going to take a shot and there's a chance for a rebound, or Messi's just going to do one of those little dink passes and get Suarez wide open. And I wonder if the way he positions his body kind of cuts into his vision a little bit. And so if he doesn't have a guy that's consistently like where he knows he's going to be like Jordi Alba, I do wonder if it's going to take some time for him to kind of get used to the new players. And I think that's understandable when he's played one game with Segovia and Noah Allen hasn't played a ton on the left side. Speaking of Noah Allen, Anton says Noah Allen was great again. I wanted to make a note of this because I'm
a strong award contender. Let's just say that.
I'm worried this is going to be a Campana situation where he's so good that he's going to demand to be a starter next year. Not like saying I demand to be a starter, but he's just going to be so good that his play demands it. And if Jordi Alba's back, I think he could start.
This won't be a Campana situation. This will be worse than a Campana situation because I think he's going to be even more. Yeah, no, he's going to be even more demanding. I think his performances have been phenomenal every time he's out there. Today again, I think maybe he needs to improve a little bit on the offensive output, but that's only because we can see in comparison to what happens when Jordi Alba is on the pitch. But no point during the game did he put a wrong foot. defensively, he was very solid. Offensively, he was making himself available and doing some good things. It'll come with time, the final output, when he's playing in the left back role, but he's just so good, man. I think the back three, with the exception of maybe Cello, were all really good today. Very good today.
I agree.
And honestly, Cello kept a clean sheet, so no.
I thought Cello had a really nice, like, from like the beginning of the second half to like the 80th minute. I thought he had a really nice 35 minutes. The Devin Knit says, do we feel like we are still a little late with subbing fresh legs on? Here's the thing. I think it's difficult to tell in one game because, you start to notice patterns over time on how coaches operate. I think the way Inter Miami was at that moment in the game, they get the goal. I think it was around the 56th minute from Messi. Everything was working as you wanted it to. So it's kind of really hard to disrupt the defense and potentially open up yourself to something going the other way. I think that's what Javier Mascherano was thinking. So it's almost like, okay, when do you want to take off the quality starters to put on fresh legs as subs? Because you're still you want a second goal, but you really want to make sure your defense stays solid. They didn't need to mix up the whole formation either defensively or in the midfield. And so because of that, I think you kind of really limited to what you can even do from a substitute perspective. So I don't know. I have no criticism of it.
If you notice, they came at very distinct points. So he put on, I think, Fafa first, or maybe Bena came on first, then Fafa a little bit later, and then Robert Taylor towards the end. So it almost felt like pre-planned, and I don't think it could have been more. I think it was well planned out for today. The game didn't need that many changes for us to be like, oh, maybe he should have brought on players earlier. It maybe could have been that they should have preserved Messi and his legs, but you don't want a situation where they score a goal on us, it's 1-1, and then Messi's not on the pitch to try and create something. So I was happy with the way the substitutions went.
Wookie says, my family thinks I've gone nuts, especially after that 5-hour episode we did the other day. I just want you to know that Saur and I both think the other has gone nuts for letting us do that. Mariella says, go ahead.
I just want to say, for anyone who's watched that 5-hour marathon, first of all, thank you so much. We received a lot of love on that, a lot of support on that, and we were a little hesitant to put it out in the way we did because we didn't think anybody would watch it for 5 hours. But now it's confirmed that people are as crazy about Inter Miami as we are. So good on you guys for watching it, and thank you so much. And maybe we'll do it again next year. I don't want to commit right now because it was a big lift.
Mariella says, no one is commenting on the acrobatics of Suarez in the first part. I don't know what he tries to do, but it was funny. He did have a moment in that first half where he just flails his leg up to see if he can knock it down.
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. It would have been amazing if he brought it down. Yeah. But Messi TV says, from the preseason, the defense has learned to set offside traps until today. I think it is an improvement. They got caught a couple times today, but I think with CONCACAF refereeing, it's kind of, I don't know. For me, it's sort of.
I think it's good. It's definitely improved. Orlando got caught out a few times last game, I remember. And today it was good. I think if you're playing a high line, you need somebody who can recover when we do get caught. One moment where I think we did get caught was, I keep forgetting who that player got free on, but they got a shot off. And thank God Aviles was quick enough to cut down the angle to make sure that they didn't have a clear shot on target, even though he did get away. So you need players who are able to retrieve and get back in position and have the speed to do so when you get caught offside. So I think it worked with this defensive pairing. I like to see how Maxi Falcon and Aviles, because I think that's going to be a starting pair, how they do when.
It's not, dude.
Really? Who do you think is going to be?
It's going to be.
Oh, yeah. No. Sorry.
Kidding.
Then we're fine.
Maybe. Silo says this was one of the worst conditions to play football. Give Suarez time. Michael says Suarez will get his goals. Be patient. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to completely write Suarez off again this year so that I can say he's going to be fine and score 20 plus goals and look smart again. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and write him off. I want you to.
And in fact, I've already said this on record, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. I do not have a good feeling about Suarez this season. I think he's going to struggle a lot more. I just feels like he's in a completely different place. And I think it's a year too much for him. So I don't know if he can produce the same numbers as last time. Now it's up to you to disprove me and tell us why I'm completely crazy.
No, you're crazy. He's going to score 25
Thanks.
goals this year. Yeah, no problem. Harsh says, why was Alba not playing today? He was suspended. He had a red card last year in this competition. He got a red card in the a second yellow in the
Good for him, man. Honestly, so. I would have, if I was playing that Monterrey game, I would have got a red card as well.
Miami King says, seems Mascherano still plays Allen like Alba tonight. Yeah, well, that's the amazing thing about Alba. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, there was a moment where there was a corner and it kind of bounced out to him and he took the shot. And it looked a lot like Jordi Alba taking those shots.
Allen.
Outside the box.
Yeah, that's the thing about Allen. Yeah.
Oh, and so I'm just like, he's learned. He's clearly. And
I don't think it makes sense to play Noah Allen in any different way because he's growing, he's learning, and if you want him to be a player of a certain type for this team for the next 4 years, you want him to be like Jordi Alba. So why not force him to play that way? And he will improve over time. He's going to get better. Trust me.
Harsh says Fafa is selfish, and then Miami King says Fafa first to save Allende for Saturday's game. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Fafa's role develops on this team. I don't know if we saw enough tonight to really make any judgments, but interesting observation.
I liked Allende though. I thought Allende is getting good with his dribbling. I liked him. He was sharp.
I'm a little worried about Allende.
Why?
And I'll tell you why. Physically, very impressive. I mean, wins balls like a maniac. The tools are so good. They're so impressive.
Dribbles well. Dribbles well. As well.
And so I'm wondering, why is he at Inter Miami on loan from Celta Vigo at age 25? So here's what I'll say. I'm not saying this about Allende, but there are a lot of soccer players that are really promising at 21 that have to become really good by 25. And not all of them do that. And so the tools can be there, but if you can't deliver consistent play and production by the time you get to that prime age of your career, and Allende is just getting there, then that does happen sometimes. And so I'm just keeping an eye out for it. Does he actually have that final third production on a consistent basis? I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying
he scored the most goals in the preseason. What are you on about? He scored 3, didn't he?
Goal.
No, he did 2.
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying I have an eye out for it because I'm just keeping an eye out for it.
I think he'll be fine.
I agree. I think he'll be fine. I'm just keeping an eye out for it.
I think
who are you going to take Allende over Suarez now? Rohan,
yeah, of course.
The hate on Suarez is unreal sometimes. He'll prove the haters wrong as always. I agree. Joe Wise says the pitch was bad tonight, especially in the corner. Seems like ace as we saw the guy slip up. Miami King says the referee's not good. We told you guys in the preseason, this is a CONCACAF ref. This is what you should expect for every CONCACAF Champions Cup game. Defense was on point, says Cringe. Love it.
Defense wins tournaments, man.
Yeah. We did not keep enough clean sheets last year. Off to a great start. And I don't know if the defense plays better because Ustari's back there. But Drake Callender didn't get a lot of nights like tonight where he just had an easy night and got a clean sheet. So we'll see. And I think that has more to do with the defense than the goalkeeper. Joe says, guys, it happens sometimes on defense, but think back to last year. Nuno says, it was surprising, not boring. Okay, I had a bunch. Starred. Miami King says Falcone will start on Saturday. What do you think about the defensive partnership?
I think we're in a much better place this season than we were last season. Our defensive options are actually unreal if you think about it. I do want to see Falcone on Saturday. I think it's time. If he was on the bench, then I think there's definitely a chance that he could get a start on Saturday. Maybe even with Allen or somebody. We'll see. But I would like to see him on Saturday for sure.
Hash says, what were your thoughts on Segovia?
I like him. I think he needs a little. This is just his second game for the club. He needs a little bit more time to blend in. But I think he's going to be my favorite player this season, man. You just watch him when you're watching the game, and you know how many good things he does that are intangibles. You can't really see because he doesn't take those touches, doesn't take those goal scoring opportunities. It's the pass and goal, the movement, the positioning, the way he looks around and positions himself based on where others are. he's going to be one of those players that may not stand out during the game, but he'll make everyone else around him much better. And I really appreciate that from a player. I think he's going to get better. He might be my favorite player going forward.
I'm wondering where he belongs on the pitch.
I know. That's what I told you that. I would have preferred if he was in the middle when we did the lineup discussion. I said I would like to see him in the middle. But I can see why he's being utilized the way he is being utilized.
I think we might have a similar problem that we had last year. And I'll be very interested to see how Javier Mascherano adjusts to it. But I would like to see him start as that Redondo role on Saturday, honestly, to see what it's like.
Can I say something in that regard? You're right. I think the congestion problem in the midfield is what you're referring to in the middle, which clogs up the lanes for Messi and Suarez to get the passes through and create those final third passes. Absolutely spot on. I think it'll be less so when Jordi Alba's on the other side because he's a little bit better at getting in behind. So in instances where Noah Allen and Segovia on that side together, for sure. But I do think put Segovia in the middle. It's going to be that Diego Gomez discussion again. Put Segovia in the middle and see what he can do there because that, I think, might be his better position.
And I would be interested in seeing them flip sides, honestly.
Allende on the left.
Because it doesn't feel like they get Allende high up the pitch. I don't know. I want to rewatch the game before I get too deep into it. Joe says, you really want to compare MLS to La Liga. Allende will be fine, especially playing alongside Messi and Suarez. Hopefully. Listen, I'm just keeping an eye out for it. I'm not saying definitively anything. Miami King says Maxi Falcone warmed up tonight, and he did. I saw his hair. He played as a left center back at Colo Colo, but he is right-footed. Okay. Ash says Inter Miami can beat any team in CONCACAF provided they have the best players in and goods. They put the best players in and have good substitutions. First game, but let's overreact a little bit because this is an emotional type of situation. I think we're winning 3 trophies. Miami King, he agrees. I see hope for the triple this year.
How
you feeling after one game?
5, dude. We're winning everything. Club World Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, MLS Cup, Supporters Shield. Throw the US Open in there, and I think we can do this sextuple for sure.
I think
we're Barcelona 2011. That's what we are.
I think that maybe Real Madrid can stop us. Maybe.
I think Mbappe really needs to have a good game for that to happen.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Rock says, I feel the difference was Allende. Just think how Miami's right side never attacked as Messi comes central, and opponents were never threatened down that side. I think it's going to be really interesting to see because Javier Mascherano clearly values having those wingers both be threats in different ways. I'm curious to see how those positions develop over the course of the season and against different competitions. I think that'll be where we see the most tactical changes from a week-to-week basis. And I think we have the pieces to settle on something really impressive. I'm not sure.
And I will say, I think, and when we do our post-game analysis as well, I think we need to keep in mind that reading too much into this game specifically won't do us much good because the conditions just weren't ideal to play a game of football. And whatever we did produce, we can expect maybe 3 times more of that when we play in normal conditions. So I'll just be a little bit conservative with my criticism. That's all I'm going to say. Except for Suarez. I thought he had a terrible game. I'm kidding.
Mark says, really think Miami can cause a lot of mayhem on the left side, specifically the overlapping runs from the left back. With Segovia tucking into that midfield role and letting Suarez come out wide, I like it. That sounds like the type of thing we'll talk about tomorrow.
Suarez should not come out wide, though. Suarez should stay central for that option for a cutback. That's what I think. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. I think that's a good discussion point for tomorrow.
Messi TV says, Wigan Cello needs competition. The coach hasn't tried anybody else but Gressel, and Gressel doesn't have the pace, so says Messi TV. I am surprised they didn't bring in competition for Cello this offseason. I wonder if they think Ian Frey is going to be that guy. I thought, Gonzalo Luhan so far feels like more center back who can play right back than right back who can play center back. So I'm surprised they didn't bring in more competition for Cello. I do think he's gonna. I think Ian Frey is gonna be the guy eventually, but we'll see.
Yeah, I thought Luhan was actually going to be a right back who could play centre back, but seems like he's a centre back who could play right back. Cello definitely needs competition, and I hope Ian Frey can offer that on a more consistent basis this season.
Okay, guys, we got over 300 people watching, 312 people watching. Do us a favor, hit the like button. Like I said at the beginning, now that we're into the regular season, these post-game shows are going to be much more emotional, much more interactive with you guys. We want to get your thoughts first and foremost, and just, have a chance to spend some time with you guys. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our full game breakdown. We'll rewatch the game tomorrow, and we'll have our awards, and we'll go over what the tactics were and player performances and what SKC tried to do and failed to do, or where they might have succeeded. We will do all of that tomorrow. Saur, are you excited to give out some awards for the first time in about 4 months?
I've already thought about, I watched 30 minutes of the game and I forgot that I was supposed to think about who I want to give awards to. And then second half, I was sitting there with my notepad. I was like, oh, I need to make sure I come up with some good awards. I haven't come up with an award name yet, but I know who I want to give my awards to. So it's in progress, and hopefully I can come up with some good ones tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. I always enjoy giving out the awards. But anyways, guys, we will be back tomorrow with a full game breakdown. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful night. Enjoy this 1-0 win and get warm. And again, some sage advice from Saur here. Go hard, but also take it easy. We will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.